We hear about environmental issues all the time, but there's rarely something that we can do that will instantly make a difference. One of the things that we can do, however, is reduce or even eliminate the amount of meat that we consume. Over the past few years, the amount of meat being consumed has been reduced significantly, but the negative effects on the environment still remain a huge problem. By raising animals for food, a countless number of things negatively impact our environment. In the past, animals were raised on family farms, which required a large amount of land so that they could be pasture-fed and have room to walk around and get fresh air. In making room for these animals, many of our forests are being cut down, causing harm not only to the trees but to the wildlife that once lived there. However, with the invention of factory farming, man has created an artificial way of raising animals for profit while disregarding the negative impact on the environment. In recent years, there's been high demand for meat, and many farmers have turned to what is called factory farming. Factory farms hold large amounts of animals such as cows, pigs, and chickens, with very little room for them to move around, and most of the animals never see the light of day. It is cruel and inhumane practice that leads to environmental concerns because the land is not meant to support that many animals. Feeding the high volume of animals being raised for human consumption puts an additional strain on the environment. It takes millions of acres of land to produce the food that the animals need to eat in order to grow large enough to be used for food, not to mention the money it takes to grow the food. Animal waste is one of the most serious environmental concerns. The waste produced by animals contains large amounts of nitrogen, which can poison our water supply by entering the runoff. Animals such as cows, sheep, and goats contribute to the issue of air pollution. These types of animals are known as ruminants. Ruminants have a unique digestive system that has multiple stomachs, and the food is digested by being fermented in the different chambers of the stomachs. During this process, the animal needs to release gas through eructation or burping. These harmful gases are released into the environment countless times a day, polluting the air. One possible solution to the problem of our environment being destroyed by raising animals for meat would be making and enforcing laws that eliminate factory farming. Factory farming contributes to the majority of the issues concerning the water supply and deforestation because it was never possible to keep this volume of animals in the past. Farmers used to keep a small herd on their family farms, which was just enough meat for their families and enough to sell. Since the demand for meat has risen so much in recent years, farmers have had to come up with a way to raise more animals in a cost-effective way. Due to these demands, they have started factory farms, which hold thousands of animals and is a very cheap way to keep them. By keeping the animals confined in small spaces and not allowing them access to pastures, they are able to keep more animals for less money. By making factory farms against the law, we would be able to drastically decrease deforestation and water pollution. Another possible solution would be creating regulations for farming so that waste is properly disposed of and animals are treated humanely. There would need to be laws regarding the number of animals that are allowed on each farm, and these laws would need to be enforced in order to see a difference in the environment. The owners of these farms would definitely be opposed to this as a solution because they would lose large amounts of money. The lack of regulation on factory farming is what makes it so cheap for farmers to raise large amounts of animals for human consumption. If laws were put into place that reduced the number of animals that are allowed on each farm, they would need to turn to different methods of keeping them. This would significantly cut into the farmer's profit margin because the less they have to sell, the less money they make. My solution to the problem would be educating the public about these environmental concerns. Teaching people that eating meat is harming our environment would encourage more people to switch to a vegetarian or vegan diet. Once the demand for meat decreases, farmers will not be able to afford to keep as many animals, and the environment will slowly recover. By taking the demand for meat away, there will not be a need to raise as many animals. Over time, there would not be a need for factory farms, therefore fewer forests would be cut down and less crops would be needed to be grown to feed the large amounts of animals. Educating the public about the negative effects of raising animals for meat will be the most effective way to make a positive change in our environment.